Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ono Anime. My name's Mark.
I'm Patrick.
And today we are here to talk about something that no doubt most of you guys that watch anime in a streaming fashion have heard about, and that is the Crunchyroll Funimation partnership that was announced, I guess it was yesterday at the time of the recording of this video.
I think, personally, this is pretty easily the biggest news since Crunchyroll broke into streaming the first time for at least for US.
I mean, it's kind of been a running joke with us over the past basically, year and a half, I guess now almost that we've been doing this. That so much big anime news is happening that the joke is that every time we think something is a huge story, something else comes along pretty soon and just completely blows it out of the water.
It's going to be a while before this one gets beat. The sheer implications are
they're pretty
astounding.
huge. So I guess we should start off with probably the biggest question that most people are having, and that is, what is this?
What is this?
So I think it probably would behoove us to stress.
Real quick, let's back up and tell you what exactly happened if you haven't read the articles and you're business nerds like us. So first of all, it is not a merger. That's very important. Everybody is stressing that.
If there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that. It's Funimation is not buying Crunchyroll. It's not vice versa. Yeah. This is a business partnership. You could think of this as sort of a treaty. It's weird because you don't often see this sort of things in other big media industries. I mean, this is I was just telling someone about this who doesn't really know much about the anime industry in the U.S. earlier today, and it really would be as if Microsoft and Apple signed a deal together, or Nintendo and Sony signed a distribution agreement.
It does kind of remind me of when Sega backed out of the console market and said, "Hey, you guys get everything."
It's pretty incredible, and the effects of it are going to be incredibly long-lasting, at least in this current iteration of the anime industry.
So some facts real quick is, so basically, it seems that Crunchyroll is more or less, I wouldn't say taking over, but they're definitely focusing more on the subs, and the easiest way to put it on the other side is Funimation.
Simulcasting, basically,
While Funimation is focusing more on the dubs, while also continuing what they've been doing in the home market. Obviously, Crunchyroll does not have any home media presence right now. They announced back in July that they were going to enter that with Real Life and Cabaneri, along with a few other titles. And now it looks like what's happening there is Funimation is actually going to be doing the home distribution. Now, it's still going to have Crunchyroll's name on it, and they are going to be the licensors and the actual, I don't even know the term to use, distributor.
They're the distributor. But they're handling the manufacturing of the actual discs themselves.
But Funimation is doing distribution.
Also, Funimation will be handling the dubs on all a lot
which is honestly good. Funimation,
it's good and bad.
Obviously not everything can be a hit when you dub the way they do, but I think they deserve some amount of respect for the work that they do in the simul-dubbing category, more because they are trailblazers there. Nobody else does that.
Others have tried to do it and it's not really worked out. So the fact that they've been able to make a business model out of something that even 5 years ago would have seemed damn near impossible is pretty incredible. Also, I will say that when a Funimation dub is good, it is very good. Now
they do some work in Texas.
I will say that I have probably heard more Funimation dubs that I have disliked than I have liked. But at the same time, I actually feel like I might be in the minority there for people that enjoy watching dubs. I have a very particular mindset.
Most people generally like them.
Yeah, I have a very particular mindset when it comes to it. I definitely fall way more on the Aniplex side of things than I do on Funimation. Just
Gotta love those non-union.
I like the way that Aniplex directs their performers a lot more than I do Funimation. I think it's a lot more natural. That being said, Funimation has more depth and reach than possibly any other American anime company. Period. Like they're a massive company, and while this is a confusing and bewildering development just because of its sheer unlikelihood, overall it's I can't say whether or not it's good yet. I don't think anyone can.
I think for the consumer, I've been thinking about this since it happened. I'm struggling to find anything bad. One of the main reasons that streaming isn't amazing right now, or as amazing as it could be, is fragmentation.
Yeah.
And which really sucks. As an anime fan, a lot of us, we want to watch as many things as possible, and right now they're split between Crunchyroll, Hulu, although less Hulu these days, Netflix, Daisuke. I feel like I'm forgetting a big one. Did I say Funimation? I don't even know. But less fragmentation.
Yeah.
Less
Amazon
fragmentation,
and Hulu have some, but yeah, I mean,
less
Daisuke,
fragmentation
Funimation, and
is like the biggest thing for us as the consumer. The more anime we can get in one place, the better. I think that's a fair platitude that we can pretty much stick to. And this is more anime in one place, be it dubs on Funimation, if that's your style,
yeah,
or subtitles with simulcasts on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, and you know, broadcast dubbing is definitely, there's a market for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like it. I don't know very many of them just because I'm
that's
on
not
a very
circle.
Yeah, that's just not really our circle. But there is a market for it, and as we'll get into when we get into the specifics of what this exactly means for consumers, we'll see some new developments on that front, which is pretty cool, I think, at least for people that really like dubs. The only thing that necessarily worries me about this is that obviously, you know, we exist in a capitalist system, and the theory of which is supposed to be that competition means that the consumers are always going to, the companies are always going to try to be one-upping each other to please the consumer and obviously make money.
That's the only
thing
downside.
that worries me is that while the benefits for consumers now are very clear, on the business side of things, I have my doubts as to whether or not the ramifications of those are going to echo very far into the future. Mostly because I'm not necessarily worried about Crunchyroll's side because they've just been given what they've always been doing. I'm more worried about Funimation because Funimation is prone to some pretty skeevy shit.
Yeah,
and
Escaflowne Kickstarter.
Yeah,
and,
that, I mean,
many other
we've
things.
talked about that before. You guys probably know our opinions on that if you've heard, you know, us talk about it on the podcast. But that's not to say that Funimation doesn't do good things and they don't promote good things in the community, but they also are a big corporation, and unfortunately, more often than not, they act like a big corporation.
Now, there is, on the flip side of that, one thing that we don't hear about a lot, especially us, because we weren't as big into anime when it happened, is there was a big anime crash in the early 2000s.
I'm glad you brought this up.
That was a direct result of bidding wars between ADV, Gen 1, and that's it led to a bubble where the Japanese creators were asking ridiculous amounts for titles because they knew they could force a bidding war, and then the American licensors were not making that money back. And honestly, we were kind of headed the same direction. Anime News Network's Answer Man column had something on this today where he was saying it's not unusual these days for episodes to cost upwards of $200,000 per episode to license for some shows, and that's not even the highest end. God, I'd hate to know how much Love Live or Naruto costs to license per episode. I'm sure it's disgusting. So this is good and avoiding a crash, especially with big players like Amazon and Netflix now in the game.
Yeah.
And Amazon's had one show per season, and Netflix does their own thing.
Yeah, Netflix, we should say right off the bat that Netflix is not really going to be part of this conversation, mostly because they don't simulcast. They exist completely outside of the normal licensing structure. They put their name on everything that they license first in the US. So when you see like a Netflix original, it doesn't mean oftentimes that Netflix made the show. It means that they're the first ones to bring it to the US, and every single time it is a while after the show has started airing.
Yep.
So
sure
which is
it's working for them.
It's working for them. I don't necessarily like it because it prevents people from watching shows. It prevents people like us who watch simulcasts from watching some shows that they like, and they have some shows that I like for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, they're not really part of this conversation because they're just so
They do their own thing.
They're thousands of times bigger than any of the other companies that we're going to be talking about today, and anime is a speck in their development plans.
If we want to talk about what might have caused this real quick, this is pure speculation. Obviously, we were not in the room where it happened, so to speak.
Don't make Hamilton references, please. I had
to. It was too good. But there were a few things that we can point to where we could say, yeah, that probably caused it. One, like I said, the bidding war. They want to avoid that, absolutely.
Right.
They were probably, you can see even on our side times when somebody might have gotten in over their head on a license. Like,
yeah, definitely.
The season that Funimation had Hero Academia, they had barely other licenses.
They didn't have anything else.
Yeah, the season after that, this season they're still hurting.
They're struggling.
All their big licenses were joint ones with Daisuke.
Yeah.
So it's kind of obvious there that their budget was spread a little thin through that, and this is going to help them a lot on that. It's also obvious that Crunchyroll has been around for a while, and they must be making some sort of money, and yet still decided to not get into the home game until this summer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know in what order it happened. I don't know if this was reactionary on Funimation's part to Crunchyroll trying to get into the home market, but it's very clear that there's something good on both sides of the deal here, where Crunchyroll doesn't have to spend as much money as they would have otherwise on home market, and Funimation doesn't have to spend as much money as they otherwise on licensing.
Yeah. It's interesting because, from the very outside perspective, and we don't know the kinds of, dealings that are going on behind the scenes, obviously, like we said, but it really does feel like Crunchyroll came away the victors here.
That's what it looks like. It's
they
impossible sort
to
of
me,
tell,
in terms of consumer service, which is number one for both of these companies, obviously, in terms of how they make their money, Crunchyroll really is coming away with a lot more stuff.
They got Cowboy Bebop on streaming.
Yeah.
I mean...
We'll give you the full list of shows here in a second that they got, but it's
a solid indicator.
It's pretty incredible.
It seems like because they're so going through, we don't know everything they've gotten, and you can safely assume, this being a partnership, that there will be more things in the future coming.
There's going to be a lot of trading going on between Crunchyroll and Funimation in terms of titles.
Yeah, catalog is
We're going to be
slowly
approaching in the coming weeks, months, and years, if this partnership holds up, and the industry continues on the trajectory that it's on, it's going to get close to a universal
singularity.
Yeah, it's going to get close to a universal library. Obviously, Funimation has a unbelievable amount of stuff on streaming, and so does Crunchyroll. So,
both their catalogs are
there are going
to
be some things that you're just going to be able to get on one or the other. However, more and more stuff you're going to see more and more stuff going back and forth. I guess that's a good transition.
Let's go through the list right now, because someone had something at the end of the list that I was thinking about.
So yesterday, I don't know whose account this is because I'm looking at the Crunchyroll forum. Okay, so Kun Gao actually posted this. He broke this on the forum. Basically, it was the first place that they did this, which I think is. Totally speaks to Crunchyroll's...
Yeah, that's how they've always done it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And then Twitter and their own
some
news
shows that he gave us that are going to be former Funimation shows that will now be appearing on Crunchyroll.
These were as of yesterday.
These were as of yesterday, yeah. Cowboy Bebop, Puzzle and Dragons Cross, or X, D. Gray Man Hallow, First Love Monster, or Hatsukoi Monster, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, which was a good show, and Psychopaths.
Yeah, so those are
some big titles to start off with. It should also be said that Funimation is getting certain Crunchyroll only shows to simuldub.
Yeah, they got free back, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Some of the shows listed in the Anime News Network article on this that they will apparently be simuldubbing is 91 Days, Mob Psycho 100, and Orange, which to me all seem like great shows to
91
dub.
Days especially, if they can recreate the Baccano magic.
Well, after seeing what they did with shows like Kekai Sensen, which had a fantastic dub in my opinion, and a great cast, if that gets a good cast and a good ADR director on it, that show is going to be, to me, probably better for Western audiences than the Japanese version, because it'll be a lot easier to follow, probably.
It's fucking names, man.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said, like we said, in the coming weeks, we'll see a lot more.
No. I mentioned
announcements, I'm sure.
To bring speculation back into this, I mentioned before that there were some simulcast titles that that Funimation has that didn't go to Crunchyroll, and those are namely the ones that they share a licensing agreement with Daisuke on.
Right.
I talked about this a bit in our Anime Expo episodes, but for those of you who don't know, Daisuke is very unique in the streaming game. Daisuke is owned and operated by Anime Consortium Japan, which is kind of a holdings company for a bunch of big players in anime in Japan.
Yeah.
Names like Bandai Namco, Sunrise, to name just two. There's like 30 companies in on this thing.
Yeah. Bandai Namco and Sunrise are the two biggest.
They're the main ones for sure.
And and Sunrise especially are the shows that you will see promoted the most heavily on Daisuke.
Yeah, so that leaves two of the bigger titles, Love Live Sunshine, obviously, along with Tales of Asteria, The Cross, that are not a part of this deal. And to me, what's going to be most interesting is the licenses next season, because this is normally about the time where we start to hear license announcements. Now I'm realizing why we haven't heard any, because they were obviously working on this instead. The big question is, what does Daisuke do? As a Japanese, holders, it's easy for them to have a license and say, yeah, this is ours, we made it. There's no trickiness in there. But
it's supposed to be it's just supposed to be a one-way funnel.
Yeah, exactly.
For them, at least, for their stuff.
And I'm really curious to see how licensing works this season now that you have this combined force in Funimation and Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
I don't want to say versus Daisuke and versus Amazon.
It's not even. It wouldn't. It's. I don't even think that
Daisuke.
That would be giving Daisuke too much. I think, honestly, because
Daisuke right now, a lot of people don't even know they exist, which I think is a shame. I like the work that they do, and everything is free.
It is a shame, but if you think
they have to make a move.
Yeah, they have to make a move, and also their business model and just the way that they exist in the U.S. market, it's no small wonder that no one knows who they exist. I mean, I don't see any ads for Daisuke anywhere other than just on Daisuke shows or before Daisuke shows on Funimation, and even so,
people see Daisuke and they don't know.
They have no idea what it is. They don't have a Windows 10 app. They don't have an iPhone app. They don't have a PlayStation.
They have an iPhone app.
Oh, they do? Okay, good.
They don't have any console apps, and they do not support Chromecast.
Yeah, so, I mean, I trust me, if I could be watching shows on Daisuke over paying for my Funimation subscription, which is the only reason why I have Funimation at this point, other than my just morbid curiosity at Simuldubs sometimes, because I will say this, just to go on a quick side note, my Funimation, you guys know that I like dubs more than the average person. Most of it is morbid curiosity, but some of it is actually genuine interest. My Funimation subscription has been worth it for the Ninja Slayer English dub alone. That shit was goddamn immaculate, and watching a couple episodes of that every now and again puts me in the perfect place. So, I mean, that was worth it for me alone, but that's not going to make it worth it for most people, honestly, that don't watch dubs.
Funimation announced in tandem with this that they have a new subscription model as well. They're keeping the old one along with all of their old licenses, but now, seeing as they're now the place to go for Simuldubs, and they're really pivoting to focus more on this, they have a new, I want to say $6.95 a month thing where you just get the dubs.
Yeah,
which is cool. Yeah,
it's cool for people that like that, and there are people out there like that. If you're an anime for the dubs, then the thing that I wonder is, because I don't know any of these people that specifically watch anime with dubs, is how easy is it to target that market? Because to me, when you think about people who only watch dubs, and this is not aimed to be a slight at people who only watch dubs, because some people just can't handle, they just can't handle it for one reason or another, and that's totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, when I think about that, I think that is the person that's still watching Toonami every Saturday. Yeah. And that's how they get their anime, and younger people, stuff like that. I mean, I could be making pretty gross generalizations here, and if I am, call me out in the comments, and I will apologize to you. But and also, if you guys could let us know if you're one of these kind of people, is Funimation doing a good enough job for you? Does this sort of thing interest you? I think we'd both be really interested to hear about this, because we genuinely don't know anyone that applies to. But speaking of Funimation and Crunchyroll's partnership in terms of like stuff going back and forth, I think we should probably talk about home video distribution.
Yes, that's a big one.
So like Patrick said earlier, Funimation is now going to be handling a lot of Crunchyroll's home video releases, which is something that they only recently just announced today.
Yeah, which is why I thought it kind of begged the question, did Funimation approach them after they announced that? Did they get caught completely unawares?
It's hard to see that would not have happened. You know, I mean, Crunchyroll coming out into the home video business is basically, I mean, they are the...
That was a declaration.
They are the only... I mean, they are the only other,
there's
major...
Still Sentai, NIS.
Yeah, but if you're talking about simulcast... simulcasting companies, and just in the public eye, I mean, we know about Sentai and all these other companies, but not very many other people know about it. But most people that are even tangentially into streaming anime, they know who Crunchyroll is.
Yeah.
So, it was, a little bit of a declaration of war at least, but who knows how much of this stuff was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, their offices are both in San Francisco, and I think they're only a couple miles apart. Even. And it's not like the people who work at those companies aren't friends. You see them on social media go back and forth all the time. So declaration of war might have been a little rude, but
we talk a lot of shit about how certain companies do their business, but at the end of the day, everyone who works for these companies that's out there, promoting their stuff, and also out there on Twitter and stuff like that, and engaging, they're all part of the same.
I really liked in the announcement video, I think the final line was by Sailor B. It had something to do with Crunchyroll's tagline, everything anime, and I think that kind of cycles back to the beginning where I said, as the consumer, I think this is pretty damn good for us. It's less fragmentation, and that's I can drop one of my 2 subscriptions and still get the same amount of anime.
Yeah. It's good, and not feel as if you're trying to cut out a side of the industry that you're wanting to promote regardless of their business practices.
That was a very diplomatic way to put it.
Yeah, that's about the nicest way I can put it. So we should get into this. Funimation is going to serve as the distributor for Crunchyroll's home video releases. Right. And also they mentioned EST, electronic sell-through releases, which... is strange because I don't think that they've...
I don't know what that means from a business point of view. I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar with that
Electronic sell-through, I believe, is like putting stuff behind a paywall. Individual... Like buying streaming access to something.
Gotcha.
Remember how...
Like, I bought Gundam The Origin on Google service.
Yeah,
something like that.
I think... Actually, yeah, that's probably what that is, because I remember when they released Gundam Thunderbolt last year, the first episode, they were talking about how it was going to come out on an electronic sell-through service in Japan. So, but in terms of DVD and Blu-ray releases that Crunchyroll already has in the hopper that Funimation will be handling distribution for, we've got Ace Attorney, Alderamin on the Sky, Bungo Stray Dogs, Joker Game, Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, and Relife. And they will include both the English dubs done by Funimation and also subtitles. So that's a pretty strong lineup.
Those are good.
Crunchyroll has also announced at Anime Expo in July that it will start dubbing and releasing some of its anime. We already covered that. They also announced plans to release the newest Berserk series. I'm sorry, everybody. Twin Star Exorcists, Free Iwatobi Swim Club, Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, Myriad Colors Phantom World, Big Order, and Gintama, which is the big one for me. Gintama has...
It has had a home release.
It has had a home release, but it is not...
a good home release.
Well, that, and you just can't... You can't really get it on Blu-ray.
It's out of print, yeah.
That's something that even I would be interested in, just, as a huge Gintama fan.
Something you can throw an episode on and enjoy.
So, that's something that obviously Funimation, again, will probably, they'll probably dub the fuck out of all of those and put them out. I don't know when that's going to happen, but hopefully probably within the next year, I would assume, given how long ago some of those shows have aired. And this article also says that according to Funimation, Crunchyroll began the production process on these titles and Funimation is reviewing the titles based on licensor approval and its own production and release schedule, but the titles have not yet been officially confirmed as part of the partnership.
And those are the second ones that you started.
Yeah,
with,
the first ones.
Yeah.
The first ones that I named are definitely part of the partnership. Second ones that I named are not yet confirmed, but they're working on it. Essentially, is what they said.
It seems like everything they were going to dub, Funimation is going to have a hand in, and No, I was very curious to see the product that Crunchyroll put out, but I am very much okay with this because this allows them to focus on more licenses.
Yeah, and I have several Funimation home video releases, and they're fine. I mean, the renders all look great. I mean, every series that I have of theirs that was released in standard definition originally that they have converted to HD all looks great. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy with the products that I have from them, and I'm excited to see what this the home video part of this partnership looks like, because it really just it should be interesting.
Yeah. I think that should probably wrap it up. Honestly, those are all thoughts. Please let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, guys.
One thing that we should probably at least go out on is if you guys read the Anime News Network article earlier in the week, you'll notice that they interviewed both Kun Gao and Gen Fukunaga, who are the CEOs of Crunchyroll and Funimation, respectively. And Fukunaga kind of failed to touch on their existing relationships with Hulu and Amazon, which are a thing. We touched on that earlier in the video.
Hulu has changed a lot recently. They used to have a simple ad revenue sharing system, which is why they had so much stuff with Funimation. Now most of those shows, except for the most popular ones, have moved over to Yahoo View, which nobody knows exists.
Yeah, and they also don't.
They don't have
any simulcast. They don't have any simulcast.
Well, they also don't. Hulu doesn't have a free tier anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's all Hulu Plus.
Yeah.
Amazon has had 2 shows so far: Cabaneri last season and Battery this season. Which I would be shocked if anyone is watching Battery, because that shit is hard to find. And it really does not seem that Amazon is even tangentially interested in the anime market as it stands right now. Yeah. I'm especially sure now that...
Who knows what time will tell, though.
But Fukunaga released a slightly updated segment, if you haven't seen it yet reading this article. He says that Amazon and Hulu are longtime key partners for us. Our partnerships with them play an important role in helping new fans discover anime. However, their strength as broad general entertainment hubs doesn't allow laser focus on creating customized anime experiences beyond viewing the show. Our partnership with Crunchyroll and Unique Focus allows both companies to curate personalized experiences that serve the fan community with all things anime. So basically what that means is Amazon and Hulu are not focused on anime in any way, and Crunchyroll is, and that's what Funimation is interested in making a business model.
I think it's good. It very much seems them teaming up to make sure that anime fans get served well.
Yeah, Amazon and Hulu are not anime companies, and neither of them have their ear to the ground at all with anime, and I guess Funimation has finally seen the light and realized that in terms of not fan service in the anime sense, but serving fans.
Yes.
Anime as a industry to serve fans. There is no better company that exists right now, in our eyes at least, than Crunchyroll, because they have a great community around them and have done a fantastic job of kind of promoting that. So
I wanna leave off with one question, which may be the biggest question of all in light of this news: Crunchymation or Funnyroll?
Oh God! Well, they aren't merged, so
we can call them marriage something.
Here's what I'm gonna call it. If you're gonna hate me for this,
Brangelina was a thing.
No, I'm calling it Crunchyroll cross Funimation.
Oh, fuck off!
All right. Well, with that, leave your thoughts in the comments, guys. Tell us what you think. If you're one of those people that watches dubs rather than subs. Please, we're especially interested in your opinion on this, because this is a pretty big development for everyone, but especially you guys. So if you're into that sort of thing, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment on anything. Let us know what you think. We kind of want to get some feedback on this. So until then, we'll see you.
See you on the other side of the screen.